All right. I got through the first, what is this? Started the third week of school today. First full 2 weeks of school. Started the third one. Ow! And better than gold is here. Hey, Sergio, I'm kind of ripping you off, and I'm not even showing my disclaimer yet. Check this out. I'm gonna do this little reading here. And then I got some flat earth stuff, so I'm going to play that funny stuff you play at the beginning of your show. Tonight's episode, not going to go into a lot of Bible. People know what I believe, but basically an overview. What we know so far. Mud flood was Armageddon. Finally, the body of Christ has a systematic theology for eschatology, preta millennialism, golden age past. What they call the Middle Ages were more likely the 1,000-year reign of Christ Jesus, Messiah. We know that we know what the first century Christians were taught. David was the greatest human king, but Israel did not have a king for a long, long time on a physical throne. For years, the Most High was their king through their law. Sure, Satan is busy deceiving the nations into thinking that we went to the moon in a soda can made of aluminum. Let us look back at some history tonight and reason together when we let false hope trick us into thinking America was a great Freemason paradise, and it could be again. Well, I have a problem with that. Did you notice anything different? Anybody? I made a tinfoil hat. Phrygian style. Isn't that what they call it? Remember I was calling it, well, Luther remembers. I was calling it a Phrygian cap instead of a Phrygian cap for years now. Well, it's a work in progress. But I wore it today. I wore it to drop off some things. Check this out. Here's what I was talking about, Sergio. That's not the one. We don't need the countdown now. There it is. Check it out. Flat Earth.
So boring, baby.
And it's not okay to think that the Earth is flat. This is not a viable argument. I have friends who have been on the International Space Station. They have orbited the Earth once every 90 minutes. You know, I have had personal experience with people that have been up in space and can see.
You know what I'd say right now? I'd interrupt her and I'd say, excuse me. Could you go get me a juice box? I'm a little dry here, you know.
With their own eyes that the Earth is round. And of course, we've taken all these amazing pictures from space.
Freemason.
This is not a viable argument. It's difficult to know where to start.
You know, what they're selling is this. You came from nothing. You are nothing.
Because there are proofs all around you. It is not difficult to know that the Earth is round. In fact, people have known this for way more than 2,000 years. The ancient Greeks actually had a number of really elegant, wonderful proofs that the Earth was a sphere.
Disinformation campaigns.
But I will tell you,
all across the flat Earth.
Over the horizon that's curved.
In fact, all independent research of sending balloon satellites up into the sky show what? Flat horizon.
So we're the one thing that is different? And that actually made somebody who was more interested in actually hearing information, that actually got them to think. They're like, you're right. Everything else
That
can take
poor
pictures.
guy. He's a good actor.
All our space information since 1958. That's when NASA was formed in 1958.
Did you hear him just mention 1958 twice? I show that. I want other people to pick it up. That 1958, they had a law that brought in DARPA, NASA, and STEM. STEM is an acronym for we need more super smart brainwashed people so we could say we're as smart as Einstein's and those guys. We're going to the moon. What that guy used to say, he's like, where's the curve?
All our it was formed by Nazis. Werner von Braun, the director of all 6 fake moon missions, was one of Hitler's right-hand men. He was a rocket scientist for Hitler. He was evil. He directed 6 moon missions, masters of propaganda.
Oh no! Now
and when he died, he was like, he was on some deathbed confessional type shit. He told his assistant, he said, on his deathbed, according to her, he said, the fake alien invasion is coming. Like, the fake alien invasion is what they've been planning. That's what's going to scare everybody into a one world government. It's always been about a one world government.
Who doesn't think that they're going to be coming up with something real soon? A very peaceful, democratic, what do they call it? Convention. And everything's going to be fine. The stock market set another record today. What could ever go wrong?
We destroy the technology? Flat Earth, you go Flat Earth, you go to YouTube, you're going to get nothing but debunking videos. Right. Why are they making videos debunking Flat Earth? It's so stupid. Why are there people making videos and spending a lot of time, full-time jobs, debunking what you're doing? Why are they doing that? How does Flat Earth have such legs? How does it have legs? It's so dumb. Right. How is it just keeps growing and growing? People are waking up. People are waking up.
Who would have thought it? They were hiding the flat earth. Can we say now, with no apparent reason, they had a reason?
Is a gun that uses just electricity, no gunpowder, and oh, by the way, can shoot a projectile like this, well over 100 miles at Mach 7.
7 times the speed of sound.
7 times the speed of sound.
Okay, insert your own fart joke right now, Oh, there it goes. I know a couple of guys that maybe not
7 times the speed of sound.
7,000.
7 times the speed of sound. Well over 100 miles at Mach 7.
On a flat earth. That's the takeaway. Flat, baby.
7 times the speed of sound.
7 times the speed of sound.
Again, I'm not saying that I know everything, because I certainly don't. I'm asking you to critically
We don't have
think.
to know everything. We know what
I'm
Jesus
asking you
said.
to think for yourself.
He was coming back in that
Is the world
generation.
a sphere?
He lived on
Is it a globe? Do you feel like you're moving?
Flat Earth.
'Cause I don't. Seems pretty stationary. When I look at the horizon, it looks flat. In fact, they actually
Look at
cut
the
the world
flat
flat
Earth
for
video.
thousands of years before they came up with the theory that it was a sphere. So maybe it is flat.
Generally.
Maybe it is.
We're going to be looking at the
Maybe
Holy
this is really
Roman
the Truman
Emperor,
Show.
the Holy Roman
And we all
Empire,
live,
the
don't.
German Empire.
The ancient civilizations
The
thought
Kaiser
just
Wilhelm,
that.
I'm sure, will throw
Not
in
only
there.
did these same
Who
ancient
knows?
civilizations
Hold on.
sacrifice thousands,
be looking at the
millions
Middle
of children
Ages.
to gods, it's still being done here in the United States of America.
No
Under
way.
the authority of secret societies
God.
that really rule the world. So we live in this world where the AI is taking over, and I'm just
What?
telling you to look
It's
into this
taking
stuff,
over.
folks.
It's
I'm
taking
not telling
over.
you to believe me.
Past
I'm not
tense
telling you to
that
believe NASA.
sentence for
I'm
me.
telling you to critically think. How much in your life of your current reality do you just take for granted? Well, I don't know. I don't understand that math paradigm. I don't understand that blueprint or engineering, so I'm just not going to think about it and even try.
Hello, Victoria.
There's someone
Marcella.
else that
We're watching
understands this
Sergio's.
kind of thing. It's like the
He
tax
made this
code
from
today.
clips that he learned
It's so
how to get a
complicated
strike
that it
on
reaches a
YouTube
certain
from.
point where you're
Something like
"Oh,
that.
I don't know, hands off. There's professionals that do this kinds of thing. Right? It's not like the IRS would overcharge me or anything like that.
The earth is flat. End of story.
Man, they're gonna get married. I can tell. All right, so that's probably it. Sergio, you already did this show. We got another one to do here tonight, and it's going to be going over. The contention is the Middle Ages was the golden age, right? It's been that from the very beginning. That's one of RJ's big deal. Now, some of my friends who were late comers here. Somebody made an aluminum foil hat today. That's right. I wore it and tested it out, and I'm not going to be ashamed of it. I'm going to give it a little run. What am I supposed to be looking for? Blocking, is it a Faraday cage for my swimming pool of cholesterol? Because you need cholesterol for your brain your brain swims in cholesterol, and it's supposed to not get microwaves into it. That's I'm always there are people, I lecture and I'm getting lectured to all the time also. So oh ho, ho ho. Okay. You know what? I had it down, about 90 years ago. Are you putting it on the punch cards, the IBM punch cards? Because I think it was IBM punch cards. And that probably, it's probably closer to 100 now as time is speeding up or something. Let's check this out. I'm sharing now. Oh, a little too late for that one. Oh, there you go. Fair rights. No free rides. Hey, check this out. So this is a young man. I'm not sure who this is. He's in my class, and we had to read the Hymn of the Nile. It's a weekly reading. It's very interesting, according to Ivan. The H's are usually silent, except in like my name with, Hughes, Hughes. Okay, where's that H? Never mind. It's silent. It was interesting. He admits he's a man of faith, similar things to the Bible. Crazy. Egyptian people saw the Nile as their god. This is before Akhenaten said, "Oh no, there's I'm God," and all of that other nonsense. You can read that. I hope you're reading it. Based off the text, I believe their society would go bad, and it would be the wrath of the Egyptians, as many would likely die or suffer. I just wanted to show that to you. Did I get any other? I thought I had some more pictures to show. I got the worst mouse in the world. I'm going for the world record of this is the worst mouse. Okay, we got that one. So I saved it. We'll be looking at a couple of things like this. I was going to do a video and go, but I was running out of time. Yeah, we're going to be covering this stuff too. This is all part of the Middle Ages. And how long did it last? Huh. Okay. Dowager Queens. I thought I wrote down something about. Did I mention it earlier? Think I made a note that I think that the scriptures that says you'll be ruled by women and children. Well, I think maybe this, the baby Jesus they always talk about that. And I was, Empress Sissy from China up until like 1890 or something like that, a dowager princess, because she was the king's mother. She ruled for a long, long time, even after the son should have been ruling. So there's another. Is that the same one? It's not the same one. Maybe. Yeah, they just had different clothes. That's all. Just different clothes. Another thing here, you can rent this out. It's if you want to have a party there or something. Not this. Maybe you can do this one too. But this used to be Plague Island in Russia, built to study bacteriological weapons for World War One. Then shut it down. So this is the Middle Age canon. You know that when they do those sieges in the Middle Age, and actually this one could be closer to the time of Christ than than say. Well, we'll look it up. We'll see. I don't want to, but this is the big Bertha of all cannons, and you know, no lack of detail, no lack of skill. Is that a cannonball? You ever do those cannonballs when you jump into the water, make a big splash? You know what the secret is? Keep your legs tucked and hold them tight and everything. But as you feel yourself, hitting the water, about to hit the water, just gently roll yourself backwards and you'll go in like a can opener. I'm not thinking about buying that. Somebody asked me what I would recommend for just if you only had to have one gun and you weren't a violent person. Well, I mean, you can put the pistol grip on it for home safety, and then, or you could drop the barrel on it with the stock and go hunting. I I'm not sure I meant to leave this up, but that's good advice. I'm not going to take it back. I'm not a gun dealer anymore. What's this? Is this a book I'm reading or something for a class? It's a screenshot. So there must be something in here. Oh, this is a part of Animal Farm by George Orwell, when the man got drunk, Mr. Jones, and he didn't feed the animals, and they got mad, so they were going to beat them up and take over. This is how it's going to go down. One of the cows broke in the door of the store shed with her horn, and all the animals began to help themselves from the bins. It was just then that Mr. Jones woke up, the drunken guy who forgot to feed them, the talking animals. The next moment, he and his 4 men were in the store shed with whips in their hands, lashing out in all directions. This was more than the hungry animals could bear. With one accord, though nothing of the kind had been planned beforehand, they rose up, they flung themselves upon the tormentors. Jones and his men suddenly found themselves being butted, kicked from all sides. They didn't kill them though, don't worry. Situation was out of control. They ran away, and Jones ended up running away. Things went bad, but boy, when people get hungry. Oh, I wanted to mention this before. I'm not sure if I pulled this one up, but when there's usually, like a lot of times when people are talking about the introductions. It might have been Sergio or one of the other guys he was arguing with. Grace to you and peace from God. Look, that's in parentheses. That's not really there. To you, grace and peace from God, Father of us. God, the Father of us, and the Lord Christ. That basically, God, the Father of us, with that is, forget the parentheses, Lord Jesus Christ. They're the same. This is who it grace to peace to you from Him. That's singular. Singular. Us is plural. Singular. 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 Our peace is singular. I guess it comes from a singular place. Same with our grace, God's grace. Oh, I was gonna use some of these too. So I screenshotted them while you were doing your show the other day. Here we go. Because I was preparing this show already before that, I think. And we got to remember, we used to make a big deal, and then there's a couple of debunkers of like, well, not every time is it a J or an I. Does it mean an I or a J? Well, maybe it can mean a one sometimes, but most of the time they will consider that there's a lot more of these being destroyed. The letters. Some of us can track the fonts now from a W to a double V, because a V was a U, was a W at one time. Still, they don't want, forget that they spell court with a V 15% of the time. I'm not sure on courthouses in the United States instead of a U. And this is how they buried them in the golden age. Yet when you read about them, they were syphilis infested, off with their head maniacs, scrambling around like King David when he was running from Adonijah and Absalom. Man, I can't believe that's granite. I just can't. I mean, as a sculptor, I am so jealous. Why do I gotta be so jealous? Wish I could do it. I think if I don't have the time. No, I can't do it. So this guy too, huh? These are the things we look at, right? These kind of things. Well, these are the guys, and these are the. Oh yeah, man, nothing but a cheating whore, male whore. Look at that male whore. That's his wife there. She's patiently putting him up. Looked like you'd tell they broke his nose off and they tried to fix it up, right? Because everything else looks a lot better than that. Or maybe it looks like it was pretty hard to break. Can't really tell if that's a snake or a dragon. Another one. Looks like his arm got broke off. Like usually their arms are folded on their chest. What I thought was interesting is look how they're buried with like a little canopy over their head or something. Quite a difference in what they've never described the Middle Ages or anything. There's a little bit different look at that. The only one I saw with a carved awning, canopy awning. And there's a crazy stories. This is the second or third one of each one. I got to hurry up. It's King Henry V, okay? 4. So we might be looking at synapses tonight and how they are wired wirelessly. And I had delusions that I'd have time to go to the pictures and show you that when I did a trilobite one time, I broke it off. You could see these little things frozen in time. I wonder if I have time, man. I should just take a quick look. Maybe the Lord will pop it right into me. Help me, Father. Ooh, there's the pancreas I did. Here it is. Here's the trilobite. Where's the synapses firing on the side? Right there. I pulled this rock out, and you could see it was only attached right here, and you can see that smooth side. It's not like this where you can tell, oh, that was attached or this was attached. This was not attached. Here's a little bit better. That's not even the most definitive one. Look at this one. You can see them in there. Pull the rock out, and there they are. Unless you got a better idea. I mean, all of the other parts fit. Trilobite, these are the pieces. I wish, and then I could take it apart and show all the parts that I took out of it. I used to know their names. Don't let me get distracted because this is going to be a long show already, and I'm already distracted because of the synapses. I want you to be so strong, and I want you to know how strong you could be. Imagine, oh, Father forbid, that anything like this could ever happen where you would be captured and forced to go on a long walk like those Native Americans when they had, when Andrew Jackson made them walk to Oklahoma. But I was in charge. But we still had to do it. But you only ate what I ate. All natural food, only good clear water, no crap, no nothing. And we walked as much as I thought you could walk every day. How much change do you think would be in you after 45 days? Would you be the same person right now as if we were walking 12, 15 miles a day, some days up to 18, 25 miles a day? Because we had to, and you were drinking pure water, you're eating enough to live on. Do you think you'd be a changed person? That's what I want for you. That's how strong you can be. Now we're looking at pictures, synapses. This was, you should check this guy's channel out. Unbelievable, man. He is 10 years older than me, and he could kick my ass. He is in such a good shape. Where'd all the kit houses come from when they build the railroads and they had all of the old, what do they call them? Antique architecture and technology. So they had to surround them with pretty nice houses and affordable houses. So they got them from the kit.
For thousands of Americans thanks to Sears Roebuck and Company. Through their innovative Modern Homes program, Sears made it possible for anyone to purchase a house through the mail. These homes, sold primarily via catalog, weren't just simple structures. They were full-fledged houses that came with all the materials needed to build a cozy modern residence. Sears Modern Homes were more budget. From the Grand Magnolia with its southern charm to the simpler, more
Reset.
affordable models like the
Everything's
Crescent,
been-
Sears captured the imagination of a nation. The catalog featured everything from
But that doesn't mean it's not all true. You get trained, you do this. The temple that Solomon purchased came in a kit built by Hiram. It said that when it was arrived, it was able to be put together without the sound of a hammer being put together. It just fit together. They were that good at building houses. What else could they do?
Everything from nails to lumber were shipped by railroad boxcar. This kit of parts was then either assembled by the homeowner with the help from friends and family, or by local carpenters hired for the
Or
job.
maybe by Amish people if they bought a kit barn.
In some cases, Sears even offered construction services to help bring the designs to life. The result? Homes were both affordable and customizable, spread across the United States and even into Canada. One of the key innovations that set Sears homes
You
apart
think that's all Sears? Just Sears?
construction and
It's
required
one of the
fewer
big
skilled
ones.
laborers. In addition, Sears offered modern
And that's what they
conveniences
do
like simple
now, even on the moon
Fourier,
landing,
whose homes ended up in
if there was
195
such a
cities
thing.
around the world. His process required that every single wall be fully finished in a factory and then shipped out to the lot. Once there, bolts would be fastened, and within a single day, an entire house could be completed.
All right. That was fun, huh? So the Aladdin house plans, So like I said, this one's only $470, but they were everywhere. That's how the reset, and you build them around the capital of Wisconsin, which is, the big daddy of them all. So Sears, they say they sold more than 70,000, probably more, who knows? But that would explain some things. They had to do that. Sears Modern Homes offered more than 370 different designs. So I'm sure some people can spot them all. We heard them say railroad boxcars. It was a big deal. Aladdin of Bay, 1906. Really? Wouldn't you think that they had something like that before? The kit houses, known as mill cut houses, pre-cut houses, you know, from the late 1900s, 1800s, possibly. Bungalows, imposing colonials. That's a colonial. This is a bungalow. That's kind of a big bungalow. But they weren't the only ones. There were other companies. Here's the Colonial Revival kit. The Vernon. This is from not Sears. This is a little bit more pricey, maybe. The Gordon Van Tyneco. They sold them too, and that's the way it looked when it arrived. And you had your work cut out for you in the 1952. They were still doing it. 5-room Aladdin house for $300. Shiver me timbers! You can get a garage for $230. I wonder if that's like Donley or Danley garages. We're going to look some of this too, because what's up with this? Everybody had to have a crown. I already showed my thing, man.
That we saw at English coronations up until 1953 and also in heraldry had yet to be developed. The wearing of coronets by all ranks of the nobility
Middle Ages
had
or
not
Golden
been
Ages?
introduced by the 1460s.
Wheats and
Earls
tares.
were first granted coronets in the
What
middle
a
of the
tear.
16th century, and viscounts and barons had to wait until the
A tear
17th
can't
century.
turn into a
The term
wheat.
coronet means, of course, little crown. And in the 14th and 15th centuries,
Would it be
the wearing of a
duplicative about
coronet
its
was then generally
Christianity?
indicative, although there are some exceptions,
Would it try to
of
fake
the
it?
highest social status, royal status, though that gradually became a
That looks like not soldered, but I've got some pulled up that I know were rivets, but I think I closed them out too quick when I was showing the pictures. Is that a real pearl? Because I'm beginning to doubt that one of the precious stones is a pearl that comes from what the Hebrews would have considered an unclean prostration. I just don't.
eroded as time
I
went
want
on.
to.
Therefore, the coronet of Margaret of York was an ornament that reflected her
Margaret of
status as a
York.
with Margaret of York. Between the stone settings of the circlet is the
Margaret of
inscription
York.
Margarita de York.
They really seem to, you know, and some of these things aren't found until their history, was already like, here's going to be our history. I mean, I know there's a lot of faked history in AI, but they are rewriting a history of something. And I think it was, you shouldn't call the Middle Ages the Dark Ages. You could call it a time when Christianity, I guess, was forced. They were ruled with a rod of iron, and you were going to fake it, and they had to fake it, and other people could roll their eyes and come up with their form of piety, and they ended up instead of a paper chase, a crown chase. And this is a baby crown. It's for a doll head. It's for one of those dolls, an idol.
York in white, red, and green enamel.
That's nice
Above
Christmas
the
colors.
top row of pearls are the initials. Delamarche says that Margaret wore a crown resting on her hair on the
Look
day
at that. So, because it's a baby crown, it's resting on her hair. It's for a doll.
after her marriage, and this coronet would indeed be more of a hair or headdress ornament. That is, of course, the fashion of English peeresses' coronets from the 17th century onwards. They are hair-ish goldsmiths in the 15th century. The Aachen Cathedral is an important miracle-working cult image of the Virgin and Child, Our Lady of Aachen.
That is a miracle-working image right there.
The image of Mary, which is 14th century, is adorned with clothing, and both Mary and the Christ child are generally crowned and dressed throughout the year. The importance of the image devotionally
They saved the
resulted
baby
in a
crown.
large number of votive offerings being given to adorn it, and the image
You
therefore
recognize
has
it?
quite a collection.
The base of that, that's the baby crown. Margaret's is like the baby. That's a full crown. Because when they showed the thumbnail, it barely. You could hold it in one hand practically. Maybe if you were Shaquille O'Neal, but there's something going on with these baby crowns. Weird, huh? How'd you close it out? What were the women doing back then? Oh, he talks about the case. That was kind of interesting.
Proved a wise and politically astute advisor to her stepdaughter. It was she who advised Mary to marry the future Emperor Maximilian I,
What?
a marriage that brought Burgundy to the House of Habsburg.
Oh my good, Burgundy to
When
Habsburg.
Mary of Burgundy died, well before the
Carolingian.
majority of her son Philip the Handsome, Margaret of York for a time ruled Burgundy and was the joint guardian of the young Duke. She
Holy
lived
crap, that's only one step away from your Habsburgs to your, King Joseph to the, not Karl Marx, Franz Joseph to Max Planck to say hello to, well, Hitler. I'm talking about him. It's German. It's that German nationalism. These guys did it. Holy shit. No wonder they were all related in Russia, Sweden, Germany, Spain, France, and England. These dirty dog, you dirty dog. I don't care if you got a fancy necklace. Watch me not care.
lived into the 16th century and saw Philip the Handsome come into his Burgundian birthright. She died aged 57 in November of 1503, by which time all the world had changed, and both Burgundy and her native England were under the rule of a very different regime.
Wow. That part's probably been rewritten by that IBM AI. Because I don't know. Doesn't fit, their narrative doesn't fit the picture. Okay. Bear with me now. You see, this is only a 9-minute video. I'm not going to, but focus with me now on the dangers of understanding what the Bible does say and does not say about Nephilim. This is super important.
And polytheist bloodliner iconography, which indicates this boar iconography was carried over from pre-flood, like we see at Göbekli Tepe, to post-flood, where we see it all over Scythian artwork in European heraldry and in mythology. Archaeologists claim that Göbekli Tepe is 12,000 years old, but even if it's not that old, we can probably assume it's pre-flood. So megalithic architecture of the fallen, or Nephilim most likely. I'm not going to go much into Göbekli Tepe because there's plenty of videos about it online, but I do want to talk about the boar. The boar statue was found, but also this host of the video said the remains of an actual boar were found, the jaw, I think. And this channel host reported that the boar was used in shamanic ceremonial practices and also possibly sacrifice at the site.
Okay, shamanic, and megalomania, UK. This is usually a reliable source, and they, they try to stay away from the ancient astronaut stuff, or they used to, but boy, they're full going on to the Nephilim now. You'll see in this video.
So now I'm going to go over some of my examples of wild boar iconography that I've uncovered in my research prior to seeing this about Göbekli Tepe, because it ties in together. So number one is, I've seen it, is on Scythian artwork.
Gold.
The Scythians used the wild boar a lot in their artwork of animal predation. A little about the Scythians. The Scythians were known alternatively as the Tartars, as in Tartarus. There were tablets dating back to 3500 BC discovered in Scythia at the village of Tartaria in Transylvania. Gary Wayne's research shows that Scythians were surviving Nephilim from the...
His research is, a joke, co-conspired with Rob Skiba. His research shows that they're the descendants of the Nephilim, because they deal extensively in the book of Enoch, which contradicts the Bible in many other different places, but people cannot get it out of their mind.
Flood, which happened 1,000 years or so after 3500 BC, which this boar iconography from Göbekli Tepe will bear out as further proof of this. Royal Scythian ring lords were the legendary dragon bloodlines of royalty through Japheth. 3 key dragon...
Okay, so all of that is taken from the book of Enoch, and I wasn't going to, but we have to do this. If you go strictly, instead of Gary Wayne, this is what the Bible says. We'll do that ESV. Okay, really, you're reading the Bible. Nothing has been mentioned before about any of this. And it's when man began to multiply in the face of the land, and daughters were born to them. The sons of God saw that the daughters of men were attractive, and they took as wives any they chose. Now, stop if you've read ahead, because there are numerous times in the Bible where patriarchs are involved with people who were, they were married to their half sister at the time. And they said, don't tell them your wife, just tell them, keep the sister part. Because they said, and the kings admitted later, we would have killed you for your wife if we knew you were married, but God protected you. It's not like the Bible doesn't talk about times. And when you could say, well, those people weren't considered the sons of God, let me duplicate this. Because we do, you could say that, or you could not say that. because the Lord has left that open right now. We do know that there are men that are called sons of God. We do know that there are people who were called servant of the Most High, who were kings of Babylon. And they were called servants. You will be like my servant David, practically. Now, this is the oracle to Egypt from Isaiah. We're going to look down here and we're going to just skip to 23 and say, in that day, there will be a highway from Egypt to Assyria, and Assyria will come into Egypt, and Egypt into Assyria, and the Egyptians will worship with the Assyrians. In that day will be Israel will be the third with Egypt and Assyria, a blessing in the midst of the earth, whom the Lord of hosts has blessed. Say, blessed be Egypt, my people, and Assyria, the work of my hands, and Israel, my inheritance. So there isn't enough where we're going on right now to say this absolutely has to be because the book of Enoch says so, which who really knows when the book of, there's no history in the book of Enoch. There's a couple of quotes in the New Testament, no reference, no, there's an Enoch who doesn't have that much written about him, but a whole other book, dismisses and brings in Gary Wayne and Nephilim were hiding on top of the ark and not all living things perished. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not always abide in man forever, for he is flesh. He lowers his, the birth rate down to about 120. The Nephilim, there were giants. It's because the word only means giants. And you could say, oh, well, there were mighty men of renown of old. Well, we'll get to that. That doesn't mean jack squat. It just means there were giants in those days and after the flood. When the sons of God came in with the daughters of men, they probably people who weren't daughters of the other sons of God and bore children to them. And Esau could have been a child of God. He didn't have to despise his birthright, even if he wasn't going to be God's chosen. He chose bad wives to make his mom and dad angry. And they became Giborim. That only means mighty men, strong men. David's mighty men were Giborim. Joshua's mighty men were Giborim. But it was just that, like now, we are not going to be able to turn this world around. We lost the culture war. Most of the people in the world today that they consider the first world, abortion has been legal all of their lives. You think they're going to just back off and go, oh, yeah, take it over? No, there'll be some pushback, but you might have enough guns to put up a good fight at the beginning, but you don't have the logistics for food and supplies. Very few do. So the medieval courts, I wanted to look at that. Let's see where we're at here. What is these? A cornet, right? So this looks like a baby cornet too, but I see those are electric balls around a vortex head. What kind of the tower? I don't know what I'm seeing. Anybody? Kind of similar. Now look at, I'm just going to run through. There's a ton of them. The British heir apparent. Try to read fast. They're all different. They had a system that is beyond belief and able to keep up and say, oh, that's you, that's you, that's you. This is what I wear. Someday I'll have a crown like that. Crown him with many crowns. I just wanted to show you a couple here. You know, fancy. Okay, that's a nice crown. That's a small crown. That's not a tiara. That's a crown. The crown of Hawaii in 1904. They wanted their own crown after they visited Europe. So they hired some London-based, make us a crown. And then in 1958, they just said, you know what? Forget this. You being a territory, you're a state now, and don't make us kill your citizens to enforce it. And they put the queen under house arrest for the rest of her life. That'll teach her. Jacturi, bridal crown, camp crown. We saw a bunch of circlets. The Middle Ages, what were they? So look at all these. You got to have crown. They're really into the crowns. Montezuma's crown. Even when they're not made in London, you still, people wear crowns. Talisman crown. Vortenberg. I like it. Maybe I picked the one to look at. Looks like the crown of the Andes I picked to look at. You any good? Oh, you're pretty good. Huh. You know, they were being ruled with a rod of iron. They had to be Christian. You know, they had to act Christian. Who knows if they were or not? Crown of the Andes. That's way up there in the mountains. You know that. Couldn't get a very big picture of this one. I wanted to see it. Samaritan crown. Couldn't get very big pictures of it. But the Samaritans, they're in the Bible. This is one of their crowns they wore. Savages, barbarians. Regalia. Did I pick any regalia? Nope. Ceremonial weapons, I didn't pick any of those either. Flail. That's a ceremonial weapon. Okay. This is what they wear. The vine staff. The Omorphion. That must be his, not the crown. It must be that sash type thing. Distinguishes a bishop as a symbol of his spiritual and ecclesiastical authority. We saw the mace. The mace was the coolest so far. I gotta go. Mace. Ceremonial weapons. Okay, that's a sword. What's this? Oh, hey, people, you talk about getting canceled. There was a girl, a folk singer I used to listen to, Michelle Shock. That's not a real name, you know.
This is Piers Morgan at the public domain, not least of which because you once came out as bisexual yourself. So they'd no comprehension that you would be remotely homophobic. Have you become homophobic?
Over, I'd say, the last 10, 12 years, I've enjoyed such a degree of independence and freedom. I can basically do whatever I want. I don't have minders or managers telling me what to do. And I've adopted a course that's not the orthodox one, where I say that there's only two things you don't discuss in polite company. One is politics and the other is religion. And I make a point of talking about both. And the clip that we just listened to, it sounds quite serious-minded, but it was at the start, as I said, of the encore. And
but you lost the audience. I mean, that's why I said I listened to the whole thing.
Not then, but later on, yeah.
And most of them began to walk out and were very unhappy about it and wanted their money back and so on. But I repeat the question, really. I mean,
so anyway, yeah, I guess she did. I never even heard the clip, but she was mad. She did, she won a couple of awards, and then the the Indigo Girls and Tracy Chapman did something, and she said, you know, she didn't know that it was like she was nominated for the best lesbian artist, you know. And boy, they canceled her, man. So that's not it. So anyway, if you want to, well, let me go back to my history here because I'm not sure what that one was for. If you highlight Michelle Shocked and put it on YouTube right now, and this is 2013. She has a minute, 2 minute song, and maybe two songs right there. The interview. Somebody doing a cover song. I'm not sure if that is really her or not. Well, Anchorage is, but she got canceled. I mean, that's it. There are no songs. Not too much, really. There's her God hates fags rant, but after that, it pretty much nothing. So, you know, it's been going on, and it's going to keep going on. Maybe we'll hear a little more from her later. Now, Dr. Fauci got the West Nile. So I think one of those pictures was supposed to be about they're going to spray New York City now because he was one of 3 people that got sick in New York City. And they spray it with this anvil. It's important. Okay, so here's some more pictures here. I'm not sure what to say about this one here. I guess in 2019, the Atlantic, you know, are they lying to us? The Atlantic, you know, made it, you know, it's a fake child sex trafficking shit. You know, they dispatches from a moral panic, you know, and that's the owner or the wife of the owner hanging out with, you know, well, yeah, that's Jolene, Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend. So anyway, the history of the smithereen, that anvil, that insecticide, pesticide. No spray protesters have called for more organic methods for preventing the West Nile due to concerns about the health and the environmental effects. Recent studies showing the ineffectiveness of the spray. You know, they're protesting, but they didn't even list a citation. You can't go see their proof. They do admit the active compound is an endocrine disruptor, which is your thyroid. You know, this is what's protected in your brain. It's what I made the tinfoil hat for. It's toxic to fish and bees, but you're not a fish and a bee. Religion and view. Well, okay, that is what Michelle said something about. Anyway, that was 2013. She apologized, but she didn't get forgiven. So that's his version of the West Nile. And then those are those pictures. All right. So we did read his response. I was going to read mine. Let me see if I can pull that up. Look at that. We're reading Leviticus and world culture. That other world culture one. Oh, that's the code of Hammurabi. Huh. Oh well, I blew that. I had a good idea. I was going to show you, what I read, but anyway, the exposure and the problem here: female fertility, male subfertility, ovulation disturbances. I'm not a doctor. I think I already told everybody that. Unexplained subfertility, pesticides that were mentioned there. That's the review. Hormone synthesis, hormone release, and storage. This is what they study and says can occur. Some pesticides, I guess, may, but I know people don't want to talk about it. So I already showed that thing, right? The picture here. Anyway, I used to listen to this with we liked it, that style of music. What we got here? So these guys, Carolingians, Germans, Frankish, Charles Martel, Charlemagne. Do you know that's all? Those are the people that ruled up until World War I. The leftovers. They would have had to, right now I'm still sticking with 1711 as the, 290 years back from the trigger of 9/11, September 9/11, and the start of when it said, "Blessed are those who make the last 45 years, 335 years." Let's check it out. Now, when you go to Daniel and you close it out, the very end, it says, "It's sealed up for how long? Shut these words up. Seal them till the time of the very end." And he's going to rest. And whether you like it or not, that means soul sleep, because he's not part of the first resurrection. Why? Because he did not die for not taking the mark of the beast or get his head cut off for the name of Jesus. He gets it's the second resurrection. It's good, but he's going to go his way with it sealed up until the end, and that's when he's going to stand in his allotted place at the end of the days, the great white throne, and then all's good. But from the time when Jesus said, spoken about Daniel, the abomination of desolation, that's when the regular burnt offering is taken away, because that is the abomination that makes desolate. And it was set up when Titus walked in and said, "It's mine now. Tear it down. I want the gold. God that I am, it's mine." There will be 1,290 days without the days and mornings. It means year. It's a standard prophecy tool that everyone uses. Blessed is he who arrives 45 years later at the 335 days. But Daniel, go your way. He's with this group. He's with this group. You're going to rest. He's dead. He's dead. But nobody really dies like you're a seed. You're going to be, the water of life is going to come and we're going to all be judged. Thank God for those of us who have been adopted into his family, because hallelujah. So from September 11, you go back 290 years, because the 1,000 years that they've added and the 1,000 years for the golden age cancel, that'd be 1711 in the Gregorian calendar, somewhere between 1666 and 1690. I don't even know in the Julian calendar, because that's a lie what they're telling about that. So that's where we're at with these guys. Now, what they call this, I don't know how they doubled up. Formico says they doubled up some of the families. But something was going on here with a lot of well-dressed. We didn't see a lot of dragons eating children in the Christian settings. Carolingians, the Holy Roman Emperor, not Empire. Who was this guy? Originally and officially the Emperor of the Romans, like a Hail Caesar, provided the highest prestige among medieval Catholic monarchs. Well, we still haven't gotten a year. Oh, here we go. From the autocracy of the Carolingian times, which they're putting it at the time of Jesus in mind, because they're adding 1,000 years that's going to be taken away. And, was it 1924? That's vague. That could be the added 1,000 years. By the 13th century, that's the 1200s, it evolved into an elective monarchy. That's right after Armageddon. And the people that fled to the hills and lived would have been coming out and saying, okay, well, we need to set up. It's going to be a while, guys, based on what we told. And so probably a lot of feudal. There were no nations. Everyone had their own little kingdom. That's who these guys were. Now, there might have been some confederations, but with Satan bound in the pit, because Revelation 19 says the beast and the false prophet are thrown in the pit. But, oh no, Satan, you're going into, no, they're thrown into the lake of fire. Satan, going into the pit for 1,000 years, not going to be released until then. But when he gets captured, when he, tries to bring that last army against the remnant, fire comes down, Satan's captured, and he's thrown in to the lake of fire where the beast and the false prophet already are and have been. That's the way it's going to go down, dooby-doo, down, down. Recognize these patterns and stuff? There were wheats and tares. There were wheats and what do wheat grow like? What does it say? Even if you go into it's the soil you're planted in. Some seeds, 30, 60, 90, 100 yield. Some get choked off and don't produce at all. But that's because, that's just, people don't want to hear about that. What's the German Empire? Was this well, it ended here, started here when the other one ended. How did I jump down there? German Empire. 1850, the states of Germany, because I don't think it was called Germany yet, had rapidly become industrialized. When did they start calling it Germany? Huh. Maybe it was 1850. I thought it was later. The German Empire became an industrial, technological, and scientific power in Europe, by 1913. Great power. Same with, well, we know who they all were, and they remarkably were the ones that had the biggest Europe and, in Asia, Japan, they were the ones that had the old big buildings that everybody is in on faking, like, oh, except the Inca. The Inca and the Aztecs, they showed up. They said, who built these pyramids? They could have said, we did. We're great. They said, we don't know. They were here when we got here. Everybody else lied and said, we did it. We could do it. Just like that horse and buggy, Boy, I studied this picture a lot. The double-headed eagle, was it the 1,000-year reign? The double-headed eagle symbol is everywhere across this flattened earth plane. Just amazing. I got a lot to cover here. Got more crowns or something. I didn't look at this one here. So I had to this is just some of their art of what they look like and what they do. So I clicked it. It was a link from the Wikipedia. Hey. Society underwent considerable change during the high and late Middle Ages, the development of towns, each with their own rights. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you, Lord. With their often part of a powerful city alliances, such as the Hanseatic League, produced considerable social change. Urban citizens, merchants, craftsmen, gained in wealth and influence and began to emancipate, free themselves. They made their own emancipation proclamation from the ruling nobility. They said, no, we have powerful Hanseatic League allies. The German Empire again. We're back. We'll just look at one of these. This is one of those German empires and how they built it. Now, how long do you think that would take? This king, that's what the king is asking. Okay. These guys are strong and good, I can tell, but how long is this going to take? Or is they just, no, they're bringing in ground rubble. It's a reset. They're not trying to hide it. At least not all the time. They weren't trying. They didn't know they should have tried to hide it, maybe. So they fixed it up. Nice, not big picture of it. A little bit of it underground here. We couldn't look at them all. We just had to pick a couple. These are the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages. Everybody was dying by the time they were 28 years old from pestilences. This one-time thing. Planted this field and then everybody died. They did not do it for 1,000 years, living happily ever after. Everybody, the Bible talks about the ancient ruins. Everybody knew about there's these ancient ruins. It's just something that everybody's always dealt with. We're dealing with it in our own way right now. Some people like Anunnaki. I'm not a big fan. Big fan of the Bible. Figuring this stuff out. This is cool. Come on, man. This is all St. Denis. This isn't, I'm showing you different things. This is one church, man. This is the way that they should do it more often on the Wikipedia. Quit skimping on the, show us what they got in these things. A lot of times they don't show this. Hey, there's that guy. His hand got fixed and his nose is better. Oh, wait, somebody else. Huh. It's pretty good for him to learn. What was that with? What's with those guys like Richard the Lionheart? They have the whole place where their body's buried in one place, and their heart is buried somewhere else. That looks like a, fixing up of the Star Forts. That's a wooden scaffold where they're fixing up stone masonry, and they embellished it in stained art in 1837. Uh, that's cool. All right, the history of the cannon, real quick, because this is Middle Age technology, and here's a cannon. This is a modern 1589. Doesn't look much different than Civil War, does it? Chinese, that's, I guess, plausible. I guess they have them. Some, that's how you do it. They moved on. I believe in 1,000 years, if they were that good, they could come up. These are cannons that screw together. They're threaded. I don't know what's up with this end here. I guess you load it from the other end, and then you put that match on it. Tell them fire in the hole. Fire. Cover your ears. It's about to get loud around here. So even that's quite a different variety for your naval applications. Somebody built these, and we know how hard it is. We've seen recently how hard it is to cast metal, to find metal. There it is, the Tsar cannon. That's what it's called. And you screw it together, I guess, and you just fire in the hole. Boom. You got to line it. You know what? I think this guy can just look over here. I don't think I think he doesn't need this guy here. He can just line it up at the top of the barrel. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we started out with Star Force, and they released some things to us, and they've got the world where they want it to be. A very narrow road will find their way to Christ as he calls them. Did you see the sound causing that disruption in the water? It takes your breath away. It actually feels like it sucks the oxygen even out of your lungs. It's just insane. It's all right, we got to keep rolling here. What am I here looking at? So this is the invention of a cannon on the guns, huh? This is its own cannon. I wanted to show you the Malik E. Maiden, cast in 1549 by some Persian. They were the original Aryans. Cannon was used and took control of the situation. At some point in the next 59 years, control of the cannon was transferred sold to this. So it does seem like this was a real thing, and I just the whole extra added 1,000 years. I mean, we got the Star Fort thing. We know what's going on, and like I said, it's a narrow road, and some people are going to be happy. Well, I guess there's the Tsar gun and the Danielle's gun that have the screw together. And it's going to be up to you. Limbers and caisson. Now, to pull the cannon, they're saying maybe in 1461, but that basically is 1933 technology. Because, and don't go, oh, Polish. Do you know that of the 35, what was it, infantry or the support or the artillery? I think 8 were panzers and 23 were horses. The United States used 200,000 horses in World War II. It's a big part of war in everybody's future. But that's not much of a change, is it? Like they say, it was the dark ages, nothing changed, the same technology to 1864. Thought that some of you might find that interesting. The history of cannons, it's different than cannons. So they say developed in China. Oh, pretty much the same thing we just looked at. Or I saved all those pictures. So a few more graves, fancy graves of people in those dark ages, maybe? I don't know. I don't think so. Then you build a whole church around it. This guy, that was one of his. So I guess.
Hey, Alan, we can't hear you. There's no sound. Okay, you got that. Okay. Yeah, because see, you can see my the audio vibration. Go down, press new comments, see if they can see it. Oh, can you guys hear? Oh, maybe your Wi-Fi is not good. I hear some stuff, kind of like you're touching the mic. What is the chat saying? Let's see. No sound yet. You're still alive. Maybe you gotta press end. Because I know that you can see that. That's me. So anyway, I just wanted to say, can't hear you. I don't want to take over your show, especially if you can't talk. What's a flat Earth nation? Golden ages past. Me and my friends are never going to tell you any different. Why would we? I'm just going to hop off because I think Alan left. Take care, everybody. Aloha. Arrivederci. Sayonara.
Hey, can anybody hear me? So I'm back on the air, and that was a hassle. And I don't know why the internet. Oh, there it said it might be back on.
It may not be worth it.